Are live on YouTube, and they're live on YouTube, and we are live on Facebook, and we are live on Instagram for today, the tasting of this tea. So this is a 12-year-old aged oolong. Now we're going to be drinking a bunch of different teas. I bought some. I got some tea in as well, and we're going to take a look at that. And I was having. I was gonna say I was having emotional difficulties, but that's not the right. That's not what I was going for. I'm not having emotional difficulties. I was having technical difficulties. At least I don't think I'm having emotional difficulties, but I was having technical difficulties, so I did have to start this up again. But I'm going to be drinking 6 teas this time. So 6 teas. No, 5 teas. And the 5 teas that I am drinking, I am finally going to figure out. I got these. I think these are fall time pick teas. I drank this on the last live stream, but I mixed up the bags. And so I'm not quite sure which was which. But this time the bags are going to be in the right spot. Then I just got in some more of the chocolate wee red oolong. And every time a tea comes in, I have to double check, right? So every time a tea comes in, I have to double check and make sure that it is the same as the tea that I have the same batch, right? So it's the exact same batch. And so I've got a little bit of this. I'm going to put a little bit in there, and I'm going to do that with this tea right here. And then what the title of the video is about will happen. So the title of the video was about a sample that I got from the maker of this chocolate wee red oolong. Let's see, put them on the nose. Yes, they're basically the same. They're basically the same right there. They're basically the same. I don't have to worry too much. I'll add some hot water to them, and they will be the same. But what I got from my friend is a 2011 aged oolong. I'm not quite sure what this 2011 aged oolong is. Now, this is the same place. They have Wui before they had Rogue Way. So I don't know if anybody remembers. A couple years ago, there's a really, I just love that tea. It was one of my favorite aged teas that I've ever had. And I bought all he had, and it sold out. And so it's all gone now. But it was a Rogue Way, I think from the same time period, from about the same time as well. It was a Rogue Way. And this is from the same garden, from the same fellow. And I'm always amazed, he'll have some samples from something that he'll send out to me. And something that I wasn't really quite expecting, something that I didn't really know what it was. So he must have just this, like a garage filled with all of these aging teas. And he's the guy who does all of these really fun things with his teas. So he tries different things. So he also did the Bashian, the 3 shades of Bashian Oolong. Then, like I said, the Rogue Way, the Wui. So he does these Chinese cultivars, these rare cultivars. And this one is Huangjin Gui. So Huangjin Gui, what that means is Huangjin, so that's yellow gold, anyways, gold, right? And the Gui is probably denotes the bug-bitten nature of the tea. We're going to see. We're going to test it out. Now, if you have been noticing or paying attention, this last couple of days, I put a couple things on the feed about jade. And there is a place in Huali, and actually, just as I was starting, there was somebody who sent a message, and they're like, "Oh, it's just a normal rock in the river." Yes, and also no. It's lots of people have been asking about it, and there is a river in Taiwan called Baibaoshi or Laoshi. It's got a couple different names,
but none of the names actually have jade in the name. They don't actually have the name of jade in the name. But this is a place that has been, you can find jade extremely easily. At one point, I think in the I want to say 80s, but 70s and 80s perhaps, like something insane, like 60 to 70% of the world's jade came from this area, which is like, 800 square hectares. It's like just this tiny, tiny little area in the middle of nowhere on the east coast of Taiwan, about a 25-minute drive from my house. And it's a river that I've taken my boys to their entire lives. I always joke with them, and like when you guys are older, you're gonna go to a river and you're gonna visit some other part of the world and be like, hey guys, where's your jade river? No. That's not how the way it works. I was doing a little bit of research, and this level of jade or this quality is actually pretty rare. But what I'm getting out of the river is literally river rocks. They are literally river rocks, but they are literally jade. And so we're just so used to it. It's just it's quite hilarious actually. Just how used to jade we are in our family. We have this big, beautiful piece of jade. It's about like this big. My son found it, and it's just gorgeous. Look at it, the smoothness. And he found it in the river after a typhoon, and we call it the yogurt rock, because my wife will specifically use this rock to get, when she's making yogurt. Well, it's not really yogurt. It's not really. Anyways, we do the thing with the yogurt. Anyways, it's basically like sort of a Greek yogurty, curdy type of thing. Anyways, doesn't matter. But the point is, you need a pressure on the muslin bag to drip out the sort of the whey to keep the milk fat yogurt in there. And so we'll actually use the piece of jade to stick on it. So this one particular piece of jade, which is the most beautiful one we have, we call it the yogurt rock. And just to give you an idea how crazy it is what this river has. But if you go into the feed right now, I filmed a video for Hualien Outdoors. I'm going to rebrand Hualien Outdoors. I'm going to make it for my boys to try out selling stuff. Anyways, what are the teas that I have here? 2, which I still haven't asked my friend about, but I'm pretty sure they are fall pick Jade Mountains. I'm still waiting for the High Mountain sort of stuff to come in, the High Mountain fall time teas. These are 2 teas. I'm just going to check them right now, and just to make sure they're exactly the same from the same batch. And basically they are from the same batch. But this one has been sitting in I think it was actually a return. Not in the sense that people didn't like the tea. It was just like it made it to a place and it goes unclaimed, and then it comes back to me, and I try and get in touch with the people. And I think this one was just left unclaimed. So it just came back to me. And so it's been around the world. And so I think it's aged a little better. It's got a little bit more of a roastiness. But it's exactly the same tea. Yep. Notes of chocolate, red cherry, and the other wonderful aspects of that tea. So that's done. That's a check mark. I can stock that tea again. It wasn't actually out of stock. It's just that there's somebody who got it. They do boxes, amazing boxes. And so she bought a bunch to put in the boxes for the fall. And I got to thinking, you know what? My tea budget is not being spent right now. I'm not spending any money buying tea because there is no tea being produced that's worthwhile buying. And so I thought, you know what? Why don't I go stock up? I'm going to stock up on some more of that tea because it's a perfect fall drinking tea. So this tea right here is it's a perfect fall drinking tea. And that is, of course, the chocolate Wui red oolong. The chocolate Wui red oolong. Why don't we get to this tea? Now, I sort of talked about this before. Earlier in here in this live stream, this is a strange it's a strange fellow. He does really unique styles of tea using really unique cultivars of tea to create these really unique styles of tea. And this he sent me, Huangjin Gui. So my guess is this is probably Jinshuan, maybe? I don't know. Anyways, let's try it. It is 12 years old. It's from 2011. And we'll see if it's any good. Ooh, I think it is Jinshuan. I think it's the Milk Oolong cultivar. And it is fun. And it is fun. And it's not too expensive. It's sometimes you get teas that are, the aged teas that are just too expensive. They're just too expensive. And this one is not too expensive. It's okay. Now, I haven't quite decided yet whether I'm going to get it. Now, what are the flavors that I'm getting right now? It's a strange mix of flavors. There's age. There's also sort of a thickness to it. There's also a slight creaminess to it. But this is an old tea. And it's hard for me to evaluate the old tea. And it's hard for me to evaluate the old tea because take a look. It's been sitting there for a long time, but you can see here, it still hasn't even really opened up yet. All right, so the leaves haven't really opened up yet. All right, so let's see if I can get that. There we go. So the leaves haven't really opened up too much. And so because they haven't opened up too much, it's like, it's okay, but I'm not really getting the full burst of flavor coming from this at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out all the liqueur. I've just warmed up my water again, and I'm going to blast it with a bunch of hot water after it's sort of been opened up. Now, I probably should have rinsed that. It's an aged tea. I probably should have rinsed it, but I also know the guy quite well, and I know they've done organic stuff for like 20 years, 25 years, so it's probably going to be okay. A little dust never hurt anybody. Now, the upfront with this first steep is okay. It's interesting, but I want something else. We'll see what happens. There's a little bit of a tartness to it, a dryness to it, which is interesting. Maybe it's not ginger. When it opens up, we'll take a look at the leaves. Might be something different. Now we're going to drink this again for like the 100th time. And we're going to see if I can finally pick out which is the one of these fall teas that I really want to drink. And they're both really similar teas, but one of them has this kick-ass aftertaste. It's just like a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful aftertaste. It just lingers on the palate forever. But they're both super thick and nice. I think it's this one. Yes. Okay, so it's this one. 11221300. So there we go. I'm gonna ask him about this tea and see if what he's got from this tea. Now, I blasted this tea, just blasted it with hot water. And I didn't even fill up the little tiny bowl that much. And the reason I did that was because the name of this is Huangjin Gui, which means that there's probably some bug bites in there. There's probably some sweetness. There's probably some honeyness that's going to be coming out of this tea. But I got nothing from it in the first steep, like nothing. Which is, for a 12-year-old oolong, it's a 12-year-old oolong, right? What are you going to do with a 12-year-old oolong? Those things, they're tightly balled, they're tough, right? 12-year-old oolongs, they're tough to really bring out their flavors with the first steep. Now, as this has opened up, I am getting, you know, on the nose here, I'm starting to get some honeycomb sweets smells coming out. And it's starting to come into here. And that's what I was hoping for, right? That's what I'm hoping for, that I get these types of flavors coming from this tea. Now, it's hard to see. I'm going to hold it up to see it, sort of see that if you can see it. So this color, you can't really see it. You can sort of see it. But this color is the authentic aged tea color. Now, when you're looking at the color for aged teas, oftentimes the aged teas, if they're fake, and I'm talking about Taiwanese oolongs in general for this, they will use some type of dye or some type of thing that will go into it. And so you get a very one-note flavor characteristic. Or sorry, not flavor characteristic. Well, yes, flavor characteristic too. But color in the liqueur, right, the color of it. Now, with this here, there's a multi-varied color. So the outside going in, there's different colors. So on the outside, you're going to have one color, usually darker. It goes as you move into the center of the cup or the bowl. From the outside, it's dark, then it goes light, and then it goes dark again as you get close to the center. And that comes from, well, two different things. Basically, that comes from having a lot of stuff in the tea. And where does that come from? Wild-grown teas and authentically aged teas. Because authentically aged teas just have more stuff. Like, they just have more stuff. Authentically aged teas, they got stuff in them. And unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to get this. Mostly because the flavor's okay. But there is, well, we'll do a third steep on it and see what happens. But there's a strange sort of unpleasant drying of the mouth. And it's not, well, maybe it's not unpleasant for some people. For me, it's not something that you usually find in Taiwanese teas. So it's sort of like, oh, that's kind of weird. But it's a really strong drying of the mouth. It's really quite dramatic. The flavor of the tea is quite good. I quite enjoy it, actually. But the drying nature of this, and I'm wondering why that's happening. I'm wondering where that comes from. Because it is so rare. It might be the cultivar. I'm going to ask what cultivar it is. It might be actually from the cultivar. Because, you know, this guy is known for his rare cultivars. Rare in Taiwan. Rare in Taiwan cultivars. Because it's in Mingjian, and Mingjian is, you know, as I said so many times, Mingjian is, you know, you eat Italian food and you piss behind a tree, and then a tomato plant will grow up. It's just so fertile. Anything grows there. Everything grows there. Everything grows there. And so yeah, we'll see what happens with the third steep, but I think I'm going to probably have to pass on it. If the flavor was so dramatic that it just blew your mind, I might be interested in buying it. But yeah, I know the flavor is already going off in the sense of sort of diminishing. The flavor is quite nice, but yeah, that drying is just a little bit too much. And I'm wondering what that is from. I'm wondering what that's from. It's pretty fascinating. It's got the nice sheen. I mean, I could show it it won't show up on the video, but there's the sheen of nicely aged teas, sort of like almost like an oiliness, like a sheen that comes off of them. And it's a nice tea, but I think it just doesn't have enough for differential for me to get it. But it's certainly not a negative tea at all. Not at all. It's quite positive. Okay, I'm going to double check over here. So if anybody has any questions about anything I've covered today, throw them in the chat right now. You throw them in the chat right now. But I'm going to enjoy the rest of my summer, and when I have free time, go with my boys to get jade in the rivers. Yeah, and then we're gonna start a Shopify site, and that's gonna be their first kick at the entrepreneurial can. The first kick at the entrepreneurial can for them. Yep, it's this one. This one's also quite nice. I like this one. I'm gonna put them together. This one just doesn't have any aftertaste at all. Here we go. Ready? Tea Alchemist. There we go. And I don't know if anybody actually knows alchemy or follows it or like pays attention to it. But you know what the most fascinating thing about what's going on in the world with the, I don't know if anybody's been following the LK99 thing, the superconductor. It's like lead and gold. And they're like cooking lead and gold. Like it's just like, if you know your history, you just it's mind blowing. It's absolutely mind blowing. If you are, if you know your history, it's literally medieval alchemists and before, like Mercury and it's just insane. It's insane. Anyways. No, that doesn't work. Time to finish the live. Take a picture of this and ask for some prices and details. Anyways, as always, thank you for watching. If you have any questions about this or anything else, let me know. And we'll see you on the next live stream.